Hey, this is Andrea.
And this is Amanda.
And you're listening to
Girls Nerd Out. Hey, everybody. It is me, Amanda, and my best friend, Andrea.
Hey.
And we are getting into the last 3 episodes of Agatha All Along, episodes 7, 8, and 9. It was a lot. We'll get into all that. We still have some questions about things. I think a lot of people do. But we'll go ahead and start off with episode 7, which is Death's Hand in Mine. This is obviously going to be an episode that focuses on Lilia, which I love. In order for her powers of divination to work, she's like bouncing through different times, which I don't envy at all. But I do love this. She is dressed like Glinda the Good Witch. She looks so good.
It fits her because she's a good person, but when I first saw it, I didn't realize it was Glinda the Good Witch until, all of them were standing around. But I was like, she's wearing some kind of Cinderella type dress.
It was really pretty. And it was really smart of them to cast a really, really good actress for this role, because she's like basically traveling in time. And so like she's having to show like being disoriented, confused, going back, going forward. So I hope she gets credit for that. I really do.
Well, after we see Lilia fall, Agatha and Billy are walking through the road, and she thinks that Billy is trying to read her mind, and he claims he's not, but how much you want to bet he was trying to read her mind? Because, I'm sure he wants to pick her brain for a lot of different reasons, because, like one of the first questions he asks her is, where's Rio? Which I was like, yeah, where's Rio? He's not looking for Wanda because he already has a mom, which I liked that. I thought that was cool, because he wasn't raised by Wanda, so why would he have any feelings for her? You know what I mean?
He doesn't have memories of her,
No.
which is a bit odd. It really is. I don't know why he doesn't have memories of her, but he remembers Tommy. I don't get that.
Do we think Tommy will have memories of her, or will it be the same thing for him?
I think it'll be the same thing for Tommy, and then in Vision Quest, they'll get their memories back.
Yeah. And then, okay, that's fine. That'll be fine. And then, so then, he asks her if Wanda Maximoff is really dead, and Agatha says yes, no, maybe. And then he asks her, if she saw a body, and she said, yes, I did. Did anyone else see one? And she said, hard to say. And he's like, are you kidding me? And she's like, well, if you want straight answers, ask a straight lady. I liked that. That was funny.
That was a great line, but we get a lot from that conversation, and the way they will not say she's dead. Marvel came out and said that the Scarlet Witch died in Multiverse of Madness. Look, Andrea pointed out something very, very cool, because I said something about Elizabeth Olsen, basically in interviews saying, you know what, I don't know, but I would love to play her again. I hope I do. And then Andrea, what is she doing now?
She's saying that she can't say because she might ruin something. So that to me and to Amanda, that pretty much says, hey, she's going to come back. There's no way she's not.
There's no way, because Marvel needs that, because this is the first show they've done since Loki that's really like taken off. And if you want us to care about Vision Quest, you're going to have to give us, depth and stuff. And she's a very, very popular character. Very. So Disney wants to make money. That's going to make money. And I hope they're not bringing her back for flashbacks.
Yeah, I don't want her just for flashbacks. I want her like progression in a story. That's what I want.
Totally agree. So Andrew and I are saying right now she will be back. That's our prediction. Mm-hmm.
Yes. I mean, she was brought up enough in this show. She better.
Lord help, she was brought up a lot. I was kind of, by the end, I was like, how often are we going to talk about the Scarlet Witch? I mean, we get it. Yes. Yes, it's connected, but dang.
I mean, she's brought up more than Batman is in the Penguin, and that's really weird to me. But yeah.
Okay, that's hilarious. Are you serious?
Yeah. I mean, I haven't watched the finale yet, but the only people bringing up Batman is the fans because they're like, how is this happening when Batman's should be around? I'm like, well, he's probably being Bruce Wayne. That's probably what's going on. So then we see a giant, creepy looking castle, which I would definitely live in because it's cool looking. I like this line that Agatha says. She says, the road is a fickle mistress. And they kind of argue here, which I don't like the back and forth. I really don't. I mean, yes, I like drama, but I don't like when they fight because I expected more from them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But he basically says, I honestly believed your experience would be the key to our success here. And she's like, well, we're alive. So success. I mean, she's got a point. And then he says, now I wonder if you've ever been on the road.
This is kind of where the back and forth really starts. And I told Andrea, it'll give you a headache because we jump from Agatha being very protective of Billy and then being completely selfish. It's a lot. We'll talk about that more throughout this episode.
Yep. Well, then they go in the castle and, they get changed just like all the other trials. And Agatha's a wicked witch, which I thought was very fitting. I don't know if you understood Maleficent as teen, but I mean, I guess it fits.
I thought about that. And the only thing I could put together was if they're talking about like the Angelina Jolie Maleficent, like she's bad, but she has a backstory where you understand that people were horrible to her. And Billy killed witches. So, but he also has a backstory but maybe that's a reach. That's all I could come up with.
He's got some good and bad, just like, Maleficent does. So I guess. So I really like this trial, but it's very obvious that this is a Lilia trial. Like, I'm like, oh, great.
Yeah, it's tarot, which they don't know, and she's not there, and that's the exact person that they need.
I really like the look of it because, when they get something wrong, even if they don't get something wrong, swords fall down and there's like a whole ceiling of swords.
Yeah, that was really cool. And the ceiling starts to like move down. So if it's not scary enough, also have to point this out. What did you think about Jen's outfit?
Don't you think it's interesting how they did that? Maleficent, we got her, we got the Wicked Witch of the West, which she's evil, but she, it fits Agatha.
Yeah.
And then, Glenda the Good Witch for Lilia. And then we have the hag. She's not the actual like witchy witch part of Snow White. She's the hag.
She's the hag with the apple. That's the most evil thing that the evil queen does. Look, Andrea pointed out how selfish Jen is. I think that outfit represents exactly what she is.
Yes.
Actually, I would have been annoyed if Jen got the evil queen costume because it's iconic. That probably would have annoyed me.
I like how Lilia's like, what are you wearing? And she's like, I don't want to talk about it. I'm like, because you are fitting for this.
Oh, yeah. She's quick to say that. I don't want to talk about it. Yeah, because you're the only one that doesn't have a cool costume. Have fun with that.
But before they get in there, I really like how the back and forth between Billy and Agatha, and he's trying to read her, but it's not really working because the swords keep falling. Mm-hmm. And then Agatha's like, there is no tricks, there's no magic to this. This is a con. Like she's like, I'm going to speed up the process pretty much, and she just starts slamming down cards. It's really good acting.
It really is. I had one question though. I know it's stressful because they have this trial and there's swords falling, but I was wondering, like, why do we not get anything about Billy feeling guilty about killing Lilia and Jen?
That's the thing. When he says, I wish Lilia's here, I'm like, that's on you.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I wrote in my notes. Does Billy not feel guilty he killed Lilia and Jen?
It's very confusing.
It's a disconnect that is in these last 3 episodes a lot. Jen has told Lilia that Teen is the son of the Scarlet Witch. But then, of course, Lilia doesn't remember that she told Jen that. And we get a flashback and we see some of Lilia's previous like outbursts and things that she said. And it's starting to make sense to us. What did you think when we find out that Lilia was actually trying to warn Alice not to save Agatha?
Yeah, I was gonna say that's crazy. Like Alice, don't try to save Agatha. That's really cool. I loved that.
And that tells you a whole lot about Agatha because Lilia knows everything because this is future. And she was trying to say, don't save Agatha, don't save Agatha. It just didn't come out right. And then we go much further back and we see young Lilia, which the casting of young Lilia, that girl looks like Patti LuPone because it's a long time ago in Sicily and she's learning from her maestra. So apparently her first lesson is with tea leaves and she's saying, I was never good at this. And her maestra is like, no, that's just how you perceive it. So we already have an idea that one of Lilia's issues is confidence in her powers.
It was kind of confusing at first, but once I got the hang of it, it was pretty cool. Like, she goes from there and then the maestra tells her to like look into the leaves. And then we're back with Jen and Lilia down in the tunnels. And, she's telling Jen that the flow of time is an illusion, which I like that. She also tells her about how, she experienced her life out of sequence. So, which I could not live like that, like you said previously.
Mm-mm. I made a note and all it says is what a sad gift. Because if she goes to a different time, whatever the present is for her, she just has a gap and she doesn't know what she just said. And obviously she sees people's deaths, so that would not be a fun power to have at all.
Yeah, and she feels like the gaps are getting worse, which it does seem to be now that we understand.
Yeah, because she's, I guess, been suppressing her power as much as she can because she didn't want to bounce around like that, which I don't blame her at all.
There's times where she ends up with Agatha and Billy and she doesn't remember how she got there. And she freaks out about Billy because she's like, oh, you're, I know who you are. He's talking to her, but she's not saying anything because he's reading her mind. And I'm curious, does he only read minds when he's stressed out?
He said in the episode where we got his backstory, he said, and I think it's the scene with his boyfriend, Eddie. I think his name was Eddie. He said he can only read somebody's mind if he's close to that person and they have a very strong feeling.
Oh, okay.
So that means like he would have to know that person very well. And then it would have to be something that they're like really thinking about.
I guess I forgot that, but yeah. Okay. So that's probably why he could read her mind because she's got a very strong feeling about him being the Scarlet Witch's kid,
Well, actually, they should have probably made that line a bit more important because it explains his mind reading. So it was just like one little line he said when they were in the car. It kind of probably should have been bigger than that so people would get it, but
But Billy is kind of funny because not funny, messed up because he's like, oh, I'm so happy you're here. And she's like, yeah, because you need me. I'm like, yeah, they need you.
Yeah, pretty much. Did you notice that Jen's being a little nicer and we have no reason for that?
I feel like they had their own kind of connection in this episode with Jen and Lilia. I mean, even though it was kind of like, I feel like they had their own connection, and that's probably why, because she was more upset about what happens to Lilia than anybody else. So,
well, at least we have Jen not being a bitch.
Yeah, for once.
Okay, Lilia is mad that they're all in witch costumes, which totally makes sense because she hates any stereotypical witch thing.
It fits because this is her trial, so it makes sense that the road's like, here you go, we're going to put you in witches' costumes.
Yeah, true. Very true. So when it's starting to make sense that she isn't linear, Billy asked her if she's the one that put the sigil on him. And I thought this was so cool because she tells him that she saw what would happen to him and she knew he would need time.
Yeah, and she finds his spell book too and keeps it and doesn't tell Jen about it. And I don't know why she doesn't do that.
The jumping around was a little too much because it was confusing. Lilia has figured out what the trial is. She's the one that knows tarot, so she explains that, and it has to be Billy asking the question at this point. Agatha's like, ask how we get out of here. Ask how we get out of this. And Lilia's like, no, he needs to ask a good question. And he just like screams out that he wants to know if he's William or Billy.
Just a good question.
Very. And she says that. She says, that's a good question. And so the Maestra tells Lilia that death comes for everyone. And that is what they all have in common. Which then you remember Lilia says that in a previous episode. Death comes for us all.
Yeah, she tells that to Billy, I think. So she thinks it's supposed to be him for the trial. And I do like that because in the finale, he remembers it or not the finale, at the end of episode 8, he remembers it because, the magician, enormous potential. And then, he's got good fortune, joyous reunion.
The swords keep falling. And It's like, okay, so that can't be it. And so Lily is talking to her maestra. She puts the pieces together that she's going to fall. And the maestra asks her, what are you going to do with your remaining time? So we see Lilia in the cave with Jen. And she's explaining things to Jen, which explains why Jen is nicer to her. We find out that apparently they've had several conversations. But the Salem 7 are coming back because we hear them.
Did you notice I'm walking backwards?
Hell yeah, I did. Oh my God.
Odd.
It was very odd, but I have a theory about that. It's based on Billy's room. I don't want to get too far ahead of myself, but there's a poster in his room of The Exorcist, which, kind of ties into how Agatha looked at one point. But in The Exorcist, like the weird crawling down the stairs and stuff like that, I'm wondering if it's, kind of from that. They're very demon-like.
Yeah, I want to know why they move the way they do. Just because they're feral.
Okay, yeah, they're feral, but we're not told why they look like that and why they don't act like witches, why they don't talk. Look, we're just going to be honest with y'all. Everybody pretty much knows this. Marvel didn't expect this show to be as big as it became. This was just meant to be a show that ties WandaVision to Vision Quest and brings Billy out and all that. It got very popular, and not for the reasons that they would have thought. Like, I think Marvel thought people are just going to be like, oh my God, Agatha, oh my God, Billy. No, yeah, of course, yes. But the other characters, like, we very much like Lilia. Like, Jen's we like Alice. Like, we want more on them. It's just funny that what they thought we would latch on to, we actually ended up latching onto the stuff that they were like, eh. Okay, so Lilia realizes that she has to read for herself. She's the traveler, and she's the Queen of Cups.
Yep.
Who is empathetic and has an inner voice that can be trusted. Makes sense. The swords stop falling, but the ceiling does keep going down. So she pulls the 3 of Pentacles, which is community, that's like coven. The path behind is the Knight of Wands, who's a brave fighter, and that's Alice.
Yep.
I like that they said that. The path ahead is the High Priestess, who has spiritual power but is unwilling or unable to use it. I don't think it's unable. I think it's unwilling. Yes, I know she's bound, but I think that's more about her not giving a shit and not using her power to help anybody. Because there's multiple times that Jen could do something and she just doesn't. So the obstacles, 3 of Swords, that means like heartbreak, sorrow, and grief. And the windfall is the Tower reversed, which you looked up before.
Yeah.
And the destination is death.
Yeah, I was like, oh, she sees Rio.
Yep. We see Rio approach Lilia in the cave, and she's like, don't you recognize me? And we find out Rio is death.
She looks really cool.
She looked great. She looked fantastic.
And they do like the flashback of death because, you know, we see the part in the 70s trial, the 70s looking trial where she's telling Agatha, you get your powers and I get my bodies. And then later, you know, they're asking the Ouija who is with us, and it's death, and all the roads lead to me is what Rio says. So I thought that was awesome.
It really was, because you're like, oh, that's why she did this. That's why she's cackling when they're on the burbs. She's death. She's not afraid of falling.
The original Green Witch.
Yeah.
And then Agatha's like, what can I say? I like bad boys.
And because they're like, wait, you dated death? I mean, that was such a cool scene. And I like the fact that death is the original Green Witch, because, like, if a tree dies and it rots, then, like, mushrooms and things grow from that. So there's a connection. I just found that really interesting. I like that. I would just really like an entire show that is Agatha and Rio's backstory, please. Yeah. I'm not the only one. I'm not. Like, social media wants that really bad. Oh, speaking of social media, you should follow us.
Follow your favorite podcasters on all social media at Southern Mother of Dragons and at the Princess of Dragonstone.
So yeah, the door opens, and then Lilia stands back, opens the door, and lets them all leave first. So like, I think Billy goes first, and then Agatha goes first. She tells Agatha to when she calls you a coward, hit the deck, and Agatha's like, wait, what? So she's warning Agatha, which I thought was interesting, like character development there. And then it's Jen is the last one, which I also thought was kind of fitting, because she's like, hey, you're the path ahead, because she's the priestess. So she sends her away, and then she says, I love being a witch. And of course, Jen's freaking out. Like, I was freaking out. I was like, oh no, this is when she's gonna, no. But when she says, I love being a witch, I started to cry. Dang it. And then she shuts the door, and yeah, she sacrifices herself, which I do like.
I do too, but it sucks so bad, because when Alice finally understood everything, she died, and now Lilia finally understands her power and accepts it and knows that she needed a coven, and she dies. It just, I get it, but I mean, I was crying.
Yeah. So like, she uses the tower card to put it up right side up, and so they're like upside down, and then does it go upside down? Whatever it does, they flip it and they all fall. Yeah. I thought that was cool, but
really sad. And I mean, I get it, but and the Salem 7 are gone now, which I kind of thought that they would leave them out there somewhere, but I guess not. But I just was sad. And it's an incredible ending, though. And Lilia went out on her own accord. At least it's not like Alice.
Yeah, I'm kind of upset, because now I'm thinking about it, when we get to the finale, I'm kind of upset because I don't understand why Agatha's the only one that's whatever.
Oh yeah. When we get to episode 9, I think the entire conversation is just going to be me and you going, why? So.
But I didn't even think about that till now. I'm like, wait, what? Like, I don't understand why Alice and her are not, it is what it is. All right, so I really liked that episode. I give it a 9 out of 10 just because there was some stuff that was kind of like what, but I really liked it.
I am gonna give it 9 out of 10 because Patti LuPone did fan effing tastic, and I loved Catherine as the Wicked Witch. As soon as she has the green skin and the outfit, she immediately starts like doing these poses with her hands. Oh my god. I was like, you just feel like you're on Broadway right now, and I'm loving it, Agatha.
She even says the Wicked Witch was modeled off of her, and Billy's like, yeah, prove it.
Oh, I totally think she is. And I love that Agatha's arrogant about it. It was funny. It kind of made me feel like, I know, like, Wicked just came out. Kind of made me think, man, Catherine Hahn would have been really good in Wicked.
Well, there could be another version with her in it, that's for sure.
I mean, they could even have Agatha as, like, it wouldn't even have to be separate. They could even just do that. I don't know. I just really liked it. So 9 out of 10 for me.
So now we're on episode 8.
Yep.
And the title is Follow Me, My Friend, to Glory at the End. I love that line.
Yep. Again, it makes sense for the episode. And this is so sad. We see Alice, which surprised me. And it looks kind of dark, and there's paper scattered around the room. And she sees Rio, who we know now is Death. And she's telling her it's time to go. And Alice looks down and sees her own dead body, which has to be absolutely terrifying. And she doesn't understand why it's her time to go. And it's heartbreaking because she got the curse removed, and she knows what she is and what her mother did for her, and she dies.
Yeah. Well, and I do like what Rio says. You're a protection witch, and you died protecting someone, even if you didn't really, even if it was the wrong person to protect, it was still fitting,
Yes, and Rio, in her own way, is gentle with Alice. It's like, come on, she's not mean, not like hurry up or whatever. Gives her a minute to realize what's happening. And then Alice willingly goes with Rio. And I think that's very telling because Rio can be really, really damn creepy. I guess it just depends on her mood and who died. But at least you see Alice sad, but it's like, okay, I got to go this way. And then they just go off into like this green fog.
And what's interesting after that, we see, obviously, Jen is freaking out because Lilia is behind and she's like pounding on the door, and eventually the door goes away, and she's having like this whole emotional sense to her. And I don't understand that. Like, I get that she did have like some kind of close bond with her last episode, but to the extent of this emotion, like, how come you didn't feel like that towards the other women? You've been with them for what feels like a while. And I mean, Billy didn't even have that huge amount of emotion compared to her. Like, and I feel like he should have had more emotion too, but he didn't.
It is bizarre. So we are meant to think that because they had one conversation together in the tunnels, that Jen feels that much for Lilia after one conversation.
Because they didn't even get along. And part of that conversation, there was a time where Jen's like, yeah, we had a really good conversation earlier. And she goes, us, really?
Yeah, Lilia's like, wait, what?
It didn't make sense. I felt like it was kind of out of place, the emotion. I mean, I get being upset because Lilia is really good character, but it just doesn't make sense to me.
Do you want me to be brutally honest with you?
Yeah.
If the writing was consistent, Jen would not have been crying for Lilia. She would have been like, oh, good, the Salem 7 are gone.
Exactly.
There you go. That would have made more sense for Jen. But they're trying to push us to like her, which we'll get into soon. But it's giving, okay, this is an unlikable character, and you're trying to flip the switch real fast, and you're not going to get what you want because she's been selfish too much. That's just my opinion.
Well, then after this, we get a scene with Rio and I liked it. It was sad though, because well, first before Rio is like, your coven is shrinking, and then she's like, there was a trick. You distracted me from him, and I'm like, oh yeah, Billy, that's right, because
Yep.
because he's not teen, he's Billy Maximoff, and she says that he's an abomination because he is disrupting the, you know, the balance, the sacred balance, which
Yep.
I get, but that also makes me really sad because I'm like, oh god, she's got to take him.
Yeah, and it makes sense why Death would have a problem with him because he'll just jump into another body. If Death kills Billy, Billy's soul will just find another empty vessel.
You know, she also says something kind of messed up. She says this walk on the road with another woman's son. I got kind of mad about that because I'm like, yeah, I get that this is another woman's son, but their relationship wasn't a mother like son relationship. It was more like, I mean, it felt like it, but at the same time, it's, you know, it's, I got really emotional over it because I don't like them being mean to each other.
Same.
And I don't like her throwing shade at her like that. I just didn't.
You know what I'm choosing to take from that? In my head, this is my headcanon. Rio is frustrated with Agatha because Agatha refuses to talk to Nikki, and Agatha is spending time with Billy instead of facing her own demons, no pun intended. I feel like Rio, who has been with Nikki this entire time, I would assume Death can hang out with dead people. And I think she's frustrated because she's like, okay, you're walking this road with this other kid. Can you please just get over that and talk to your son? Like, I choose to believe it's that, and I'm probably creating that, and I'm thinking more about it than the actual writing, probably.
Well, that's just how it's going to go, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, Andrea and I talked about this earlier. There are so many cool theories online. I honestly really feel like the fans of this show are thinking about the plot more than when they actually wrote it. So, in a way, that's really cool, and in a way, it's frustrating. But it is what it is.
I don't really like the scene much between Jen and Billy, but she does kind of explain what the green craft is. She says the green craft is the cycle of all living things and growth and decay and constant flow. I did like that. That was a cool line.
How did you feel when she says, like, okay, so Rio tells Agatha, no one has ever gotten special treatment but you. And Agatha is just immediately angry. And she's like, you gave me nothing, you just took. And she's so angry.
Well, when we see the scene with her and her son, I would be upset too. But at the same time, she did give you time, you know? I see both. I see both sides because as a mother, I don't know how I'd react, to be honest.
I still don't know how I feel about it, but it's tragic no matter which way you look at it.
But basically, like, Agatha's gonna turn Billy in, and I don't like that either. I'm like, okay. And then she wants to be let go from whatever this is because she's like sick of being stalked by Rio. And she's like, Rio's like, well, you're gonna die eventually. I know, but from a long, long time from now, I don't want to see your face. And that really made me sad, and I'm sure that made you sad too.
I will tell you this. There's no way to avoid spoilers anymore. So I saw that clip before I watched the episode and cried. Because when you see what Rio did, she did everything she actually could. She really did. And I don't want to see your face. And she's just so angry. That was a lot. That was just a lot.
See from both sides. I can.
Yeah, I can too. And it's just a tragic story, and not everything is easy. The whole thing with Billy and his brother Tommy that bothers Death is like, they aren't really dead because they're just going to hop into something else. And So Rio basically says, like, Billy has to say, okay, fine, I'll die. Like, he has to turn himself in, pretty much. And we find out that Rio does know about Tommy and is concerned about the exact same thing.
And
Yep.
then there's a scene with Jen and Billy, and he's like, "How did they even meet?" Talking about Rio and Agatha, and she's like, "I don't know, over corpses."
Jesus.
What I did like about this scene is that they end up back where they started, and they see their shoes. And he's talking about like how he hates the road, screw the road, and he steps his feet in. I was like, I was having a panic attack at this point because I was like, oh, what does this mean?
Oh, yeah, because I was like, okay, if you're trying to defy the road, what's it going to do to you?
Well, I mean, they end up in body bags, so that was interesting.
Yeah, it got real dark. Like, they realize the road's a circle, put their shoes on, and then they wake up in body bags, laying on those things that are like in a morgue with like artificial lighting above them. And I'm like, what is this?
Yeah, with their own personal items too, which was interesting.
Yeah, so it's the final trial. They get out of the body bags, obviously. They have a personal item. Okay, this is the one that I told you I don't fully understand.
I don't
So,
understand it either.
yeah, man. So somehow Jen realizes that Agatha is the one who bound her for 100 years. It wasn't the guy that tried to drown her. And Agatha makes a comment, what, like she just did it to get paid or something?
Yeah, she said this was the 20s. She needed money basically. And like, she didn't know who she was doing it to, which I believe her because I feel like she would have recognized her at some point. But she doesn't. I mean, the amount of hate that she has for Jen and the amount of hate that Jen has for her, you would think it would have clicked at some point, and she doesn't recognize her. So I don't think she knew what witch she was bounding.
The only thing that makes sense to me, the guy that drowned Jen, he must have paid Agatha.
Yeah.
I mean, the fact that like I have to say that means y'all are not telling the story in a way that we can understand. You didn't tie that together.
But Agatha says it was either be binded or be bound or burned. And I'm like, so was Jen going to be burned?
I guess the guy came to her and said either take her power or kill her. And I guess we're, again, here, just like you said, Andrea, the back and forth with Agatha. Okay, so now we're supposed to think Agatha's decent because instead of just burning Jen, she bound her. But like she's killed, what, thousands of witches? Like, why would she not kill Jen? Then you think about the episode earlier, much earlier, where Agatha tells Jen, I knew the work you were doing was important. What work? Okay.
With her potions, I guess?
But she was just doing candles.
I don't know.
Exactly. It doesn't make sense. You left her alone with no power so she could make edible candles.
Yeah, I don't understand it, but I do like the unbinding ritual. That was kind of cool.
Yeah, so Jen takes some of Agatha's hair, binds her wrist, and she becomes more confident the more she says it. And then when she gets her powers back, she's just gone because she got what she wanted from the road.
Yep.
You know what I wrote? Jen is gone, but I really don't care.
I mean, yeah, I didn't care. Well, except like when he's like, I killed everybody. I'm like, well, not Jen.
And I mean, that is again, it goes back and forth. He feels bad about killing people, and then he just seems to be fine with it. So I don't know. It's just Agatha and Billy, and she's trying to get power, but he doesn't trust her because she's like, well, just juice me up. And he's like, nah, because you'll just kill me. And she knows that what he wants from the road is Tommy. Where is Tommy? So apparently this entire time, which it feels like it's been a long time for us, but Andrea made a really good point that this is also supposed to have taken place in a day.
Yeah.
which is weird. So Tommy is out there without a body. I guess because Billy is more powerful than Tommy, I guess. So here's Agatha having a heart again. She is sitting down with Billy and she's guiding him to find Tommy's soul and put Tommy's soul in a body.
Yeah, but is it really like a heart? I mean, it's a heart, but also not a heart because they end up finding a body and it is a living body, a boy that is obviously probably an orphan, doesn't have anybody that loves him, and he's getting pushed in a pool by some people that are mean to him, and he was like tricked, you know, and they're killing him. They're killing him, not the people, Billy.
I looked it up. I had to Google it, which again is the problem I have with this. There's too many things not explained. That boy was going to die anyway. He was going to die. They did not kill him. He's an empty vessel. But his family is really, really awful. We're supposed to understand that this kid's family is awful just because Billy says some really quick line about he has no one to love him.
Okay, but they're making it seem like Billy really like Agatha was trying to kill this poor innocent kid, and it's like him and Billy were like she was goading him to do it. So it's like it still makes her look bad, even if he's gonna die or not. You know, like it like yes, she has a heart. She wants to help him find Tommy, but then she literally is killing a child just because, or helping him kill a child just because his family doesn't love him.
Okay, so when he's looking for Tommy, you hear Vision and you hear Wanda say the
Yeah.
last thing that she says to her boys, thanks for choosing me to be your mom. And then you hear the line that Wanda says to Vision before he disappears, we'll say hello again. That proved to me that Wanda's going to come back because there was no reason to hear that line because that line doesn't have anything to do with the kids. That is Wanda telling Vision that she'll see him again. So that tells me Wanda's coming back, or they wouldn't have put that in there.
Mm-hmm.
It serves no other purpose. The line of Wanda saying goodnight to the boys makes sense, but not, just Wanda and Vision because neither of the boys were downstairs with them when that was said. So I just made a note of that.
Yeah. Well, Billy gets what he wants and he leaves.
Yep.
And then Agatha's by herself, and she's got like 2 lights left, I think, or 3, and because the lights go out because it's a timer, and I didn't really understand what she was growing there. Like it looked like a wish, one of those wish. I always call them wish flowers.
It's a dandelion seed.
Yeah, but it was a dandelion, and then it turned into the white things that you can blow off and make a wish. Have you ever seen those?
No, that's what a dandelion is. It starts off as a yellow flower and then it turns into those little things that fly off because those are the seeds. And that's
I
how
didn't know
they
that.
spread. Yeah, that's how dandelions are spread. They're carried by the wind and land somewhere. And if they're watered, then you have more dandelions.
But I didn't understand the point of it.
I think her whole thing is making life out of death because
Oh,
the seed isn't, I guess alive. So she waters the seed with a tear and plants it and it grows.
and that gets her out, right?
That's just me guessing.
She didn't get her powers though.
No, because again, why was that her trial? Because she kills so much. Right. Okay. See, the fact that we don't know. Okay. Yeah. That's not good writing.
I mean, she doesn't get her powers until she's out.
Okay. So what? Okay. When you get what you need from the road, then your trial's over. Okay. Agatha wanted her powers back or she wanted her son. And she didn't get either of those from the road.
Nope.
Doesn't make sense. the dandelion grows and she has to like run and bang on this door, and before she gets like covered in rock and debris and everything, it's a storm door in Westview, and it's very dark and spooky and the wind's blowing. And I will say this, Rio is at the top sitting on the roof of the house, and she has the absolute best crazy witch cackle of anybody. Look, I have to hold on to what I like because a lot of it makes no sense. I don't understand. Agatha doesn't have her powers, and now we have Rio trying to kill Agatha in a horrific way. So she says, I'm thinking death by 1,000 cuts, and she shoots glass at Agatha and cuts her all over. And I was like, holy shit.
Yeah, she's like, I'm the natural order of all things. And like, she's still hitting her with stuff. And she's like, why don't you want me? Well, why do you think?
Okay, did that just seem weird to you?
Yeah, she was trying to kill her. I don't know. Slowly, but killing her.
Yeah, I get that, like, Agatha said, I don't want to see your face, but, like, the death with 1,000 cuts?
Well,
That's...
not just, I mean, she tries a lot of things against her, and it's like disturbing. It was a very disturbing scene.
Very disturbing scene. And, I mean, I guess if your ex-girlfriend is death, but again, I don't know. Maybe she's just batshit, I guess. So, I don't understand this. So,
Okay.
Billy is Wiccan. He's got his outfit. How is he able to push death? Like, how is he more powerful than death?
Is this their way? Because he's very much like his mom, and his mom's really powerful. So is that what they're trying to tell us?
Even his mom shouldn't be more powerful than death. Like, it doesn't make sense. Death is inevitable. So the fact that he can just kick Rio's ass is weird to me, but okay. We'll just accept that, I guess. Agatha is trying to expel Rio. She's starting to draw a circle around her. And Rio says she's the natural order of all things. And she says, and you love me. So I'm like, what is going on here? This relationship is wearing me out. I'm worn out and I'm not in it. One thing I did notice is that Agatha is using spells that she learned from the Coven. She uses she tries to use Alice's protection spell. Then she remembers that Lilia told her, when she calls you a coward, hit the deck. So Rio calls her a coward and then proceeds to like throw a whole bunch of stuff at Agatha, and she hits the deck, which saves her life. And she still has all these cuts. So then she gets some water and she's trying to use Jen's healing spell. That's showing that she paid attention to the Coven and has a connection to the Coven. But then after this, we find out like she really doesn't care. So I don't know.
Well, it shows a lot in this part because, like, you know, because when Billy comes and, you know, he gives her his power, he says, don't take it all, which I was worried that she would, but she didn't. So she does know how to stop it.
Mm-hmm.
And that kind of pisses me off because I'm like, you can take people's powers without fully killing them. Okay.
Yeah. So all the witches that she's killed, she could have taken, you know, almost all their power. She doesn't have to kill.
Yeah, well, and then it doesn't even, well, she still pisses me off. Like, yeah, she doesn't take, so she does that. She looks great, by the way, when she becomes herself. Like, she looks, her makeup is done, her hair looks good, her clothes look really good. She says that she, you know, like, you're not that bad, or no, Billy says you're not that bad when she stops from killing him or trying to kill him or trying not to even at all kill him. And she's like, oh, thank you. But then when Rio's like, I got to take you or her, one of you has to come with me. She lets Billy. She's just like, Billy sticks up for her and says, I will do it. I will go with you. And she just walks off like, bye.
I thought she was going to say, yeah, take Billy and then like do something and redeem herself. This was really confusing for me because I thought that they had a bond, but no, Agatha literally is like, here, just take him. And like you said, she just walks away. The only damn reason she stops is because Billy is pleading with her telepathically.
Yep.
So that means that if he wasn't able to do telepathy, and he asked, is this how Nikki died? If he wasn't able to do that, she just would have walked off and Billy would be dead.
Yep.
So that means, what arc? You're irredeemable. If you're guilted into doing something, that's not satisfying to me. I don't know what they're trying to do. Yeah, so she kisses Rio and she dies because it's the kiss of death. But here's my question for you on that. If they were in a relationship, does that mean they never kissed?
I have a question about that because they almost kissed before, and like I feel like maybe she can turn it off and turn it on, like Rio. Maybe she's not always gonna kill you if she kisses you.
I don't know. I have no idea, and we're not told. Agatha's dead though, and she decays really fast, and there's flowers where her body was, and death leaves.
Oh, I like the town though, because the town's just like, oh, it's over.
The scene with Billy, like the people in Westview are just standing around like, what the hell? And I put a note, I would move. Yeah. He does the exact same thing Wanda does at the end of WandaVision. Like the townspeople are like looking at her like, what the hell? And she just puts her hood up and leaves, and he does the same thing. He puts his hood up and then he drives away. I guess that's a nostalgic scene, I guess, for people that really love WandaVision.
Well, yeah, and then he goes home, right? And his parents are freaking out because they haven't seen him. And guess how long? 24 hours.
All these episodes were in one day. But it's night. And then, so does that mean when she was doing the whole, like, investigator thing, that was the morning and all of that was... Whatever. All right, fine. I'm confused. I'm giving that episode a 7 out of 10 because my head hurts.
Yeah, well, I did like the end of it because he like, realizes, okay, the road was fake.
Yeah.
I created the road, kind of, but yeah, it was, yeah, I give it a 7.
And we're being nice by giving it a 7. And I will tell you this, I can promise you, if Catherine Hahn wasn't Agatha and Aubrey Plaza wasn't Rio, we wouldn't be giving it a 7 out of 10.
Episode 9, I didn't really have a lot of notes. It's mainly complaining, so...
Yeah, and so we're going to do that because we keep it real, and that's why y'all listen to us. We're not going to fluff it up. So, it's called Maiden Mother Crone. It's Salem, Massachusetts. It's 1750. And we have Agatha.
Why doesn't she have any shoes? Why do people not have any shoes in this show? I get, like, in the trials they did, and I get why they didn't on the road, but she doesn't have any shoes in the woods.
She is pregnant, having
Yes.
contractions, and she has no shoes.
Yeah. And so when she bites down on 11, I was like, obviously she's trying to like muffle her scream, but I wanted to see her moans or whatever because she's in pain. So I wanted to see if that's really what it was. And yeah, everyone's like, yep, that's. But then some people were confused because they're like, this time around they wouldn't have fresh lemons looking like that. And I'm like, no, they probably did.
Okay, I put a note to ask you, what's the lemon thing?
Oh, to muffle her loudness. For getting, she probably doesn't want an unwanted attention, or maybe she was trying to avoid death too, because
I just wondered why a lemon. That's what I couldn't figure out.
And I don't know why she had to cut it twice before she put it in her mouth. I don't know.
I thought it was a spell, and then I was like, no, and then I was like, why a lemon? Whatever. All right, so she's having contractions, and then she looks up and there's Rio. But Rio is in a green witch outfit. She looks beautiful.
She looks very innocent.
She does. And Agatha knows what that means. The baby is stillborn. the baby's not even going to make it through the birth because the baby's not born yet and Rio's already there. And so she's just devastated, freaking out, begging. And Rio looks so sad, so incredibly sad. And it's a very emotional scene. And this is when Rio tells her, all I can offer you is time.
I want to know how long ago they started seeing each other because Agatha calls her my love in this scene. So
Yep. A lot of people want to know if Rio is the other mother.
oh, maybe.
Yeah, some people think that. And that's why Nikki recognizes her later. You know, because how else would he? I don't know.
When she gives birth to Nikki, she says, I spoke no spell, I said no incantation, and you were made from scratch. And that's probably why it's called Nikki Scratch.
Yeah, that's why he's Nicholas Scratch. But right after that, she's just given birth and she's in the woods and she comes across a coven and she's acting all like bashful and sweet and says that they haven't eaten and she's invited in and she kills all of them.
Yeah, really fast too.
Yep.
I didn't realize it was that fast.
Why does she kill them? I don't know.
Well, I guess to survive. I mean, that's all she tells Nikki. To survive. Okay.
Okay,
All right.
how though? Like, I don't understand. Like, does she so she can't keep power unless she kills witches? I mean, I don't know.
I don't understand, like, how, like, so 6 years later, she's killing,
Yeah, 6
more
years
witches.
later, Nikki is, 6 years old, obviously, and she's got him working her con. He steals something and runs off, and that brings witches to Agatha so she can kill them.
My question is, do the townsfolk, because it's very busy out there, do they not hear all these screams? And then she says, one can always rely on the kindness of witches. I'm like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, and he knows that she's just killing witches. He helps her. I mean, the fact that she's got him bringing the witches to her is sick.
He even asks her when they're walking, he's like, why do you kill witches? To survive? Can't we stay with them to survive together? No, because they would eventually kill us. Why would they eventually kill you? Why?
I don't know. That's not explained. Then we see they're at another town, and he's singing the ballad of the Witch's Road to a group, and he's acting like an orphan, and another group of witches are basically like, oh, you poor thing, you look sick, let's get you some food. And he is sick, and he doesn't want those witches to die because, I mean, that's really screwing up a kid. He's 6 years old, and you're using him as bait. That's dark. And he sees these nice women that want to help him, and he's like, I don't want y'all to die. So he runs off before Agatha can kill him.
Well, that messed me up, and it also messed me up by the fact that obviously the Witch's Road is fake, and the song was created by them.
Yeah, like Agatha admits it. The song is a con. It's her con. Like, people found out about the song, and so they would come to Agatha about it, and she would just kill them. Yeah. What I don't understand is after Nikki runs off, she finds him and he's hungry, but she doesn't give him food.
She says she doesn't know how to make food, I guess, which I don't know what she can do because she's like, I can't heal you. I can't. Yeah,
she says she can't heal him and she can't save him. And I'm sitting there thinking, why are you telling him this for one? But he's hungry multiple times. And she doesn't give him food. It is very odd. I don't get it.
Well, it doesn't seem like they had any food, like, even for her. Like, I don't know why.
It makes it seem like this kid is just hungry and she's just like, eh. Do you want to talk about when she goes to sleep?
See, that really made me sad because, like, she didn't even get to say goodbye. So Nikki wakes up. They're both asleep. I mean, they're singing to each other while they're going to sleep, which I really loved. And I didn't like that the show showed us that because then what happens later. but when he wakes up, he sees Rio, and he recognizes Rio, like you said.
Yep.
And
she doesn't look like death. She does not look like death.
That's very interesting.
Yep.
I don't know why, but it's interesting. Maybe because he's a kid. I don't know. But then, so he goes towards her, and she points at his mom to, do what you need to do. And he goes and gives her a kiss on the cheek, and then he's gone.
Okay, did you notice he kissed her twice?
Yeah.
Okay, so the internet thinks that was one kiss from him and one kiss from Rio because she can't kiss her.
Well, that makes a lot of sense.
If that's the case, that's even more heartbreaking. But Rio knows that if she would have warned Agatha just, would have said, give me more time and been angry. So she takes Nikki while he's asleep. Rio's doing everything she can. She gave her time, all that.
But Agatha didn't get to say goodbye, at all.
No.
But when she gives him a little, funeral, a woman comes up to her, and because she's singing the Witch's Road, and the woman's like, hey, you know the Witch's Road. I need aid, I need help, and I figured since you know the song that you would know the way, kind of thing. And Agatha's just like, yeah, sure. Yeah, let's go. And I'm like, but we need a coven. And I'm like, God damn it.
Okay, yeah, she's crying over her son, singing and crying. And as soon as she finds out that there's a witch that she can kill, she's like, oh, what kid?
It just felt out of place because it was a very emotional scene. And you expect us to feel bad for her. And I mean, maybe you don't, but I do. I do expect to feel bad for her because I do. And then you do that.
Then she becomes a serial killer again.
Yeah, it's not just her; it's a bunch of them. Which doesn't make any sense. The times are of each decade, it looks like, or even longer. And you got the 20s, the 60s, it looks like the 70s. And I'm like, why does she have to wait so long? I feel like there's a lot of witches that we're missing that she's killing.
Yeah, the costumes were great, but we're basically shown a montage of different decades of Agatha making a coven and then killing them, making a coven and killing them.
And putting them down because the road doesn't exist, and trying to get them to, get pissed off at them, get pissed off at her, just like she does with the current group. So it's disturbing.
This is when we realize that she was intending to kill all of the witches in the second episode because that was her con. She makes them think there's a witch's road. They get in a circle. Nothing happens because it's not real. And then she's like, oh, y'all aren't real witches. You have no power. They get angry. They shoot their power at Agatha. She drains them and kills them and moves on.
Yep.
Over and over and over again.
But see, this time it's different because the road only exists because of Billy.
Yep.
So that's why they lived for as long as they did.
She gathered them all up to take their power, and then she was shocked when the door to the road appeared, and that's the only reason anybody lived and anything happened. So, okay, that's depressing. So she figures out Billy created the road, and then we see Agatha in Billy's room, and she's a ghost.
He asks about Alice, if she's a ghost or whatever, and she's like, no. And I'm like, well, how come you get to be a ghost and not the other two?
I don't know. I guess it's if you accept death, and Alice did and walked with Rio, and then Lilia died on her own terms, so she would have walked with Rio.
Also, maybe because, Rio says to Alice, you're a protection witch and you died protecting somebody. So maybe it's because she has unfinished business and they don't.
She makes it clear that she did not sacrifice herself for Billy. That's what she tells him.
Which is messed up.
Yeah, well, at least Billy has emotion. He starts freaking out because he's like, oh my God, if I made the road, I killed Alice, Lilia, and Sharon.
Which Agatha's like, who? And I'm like, are you kidding me? Again? How do you people forget about this woman? It's not the first time.
Look, it's really dark because he's like, I killed all of them. And she's like, actually, you saved a life, because Jen makes it out. And she's like, I was going to kill everybody.
On day one,
Yeah.
when his dad said you've been gone for 24 hours, so you mean the day of? Like, I don't know. Also, with the Mrs. Davis thing, you know how in the beginning of the show, we really thought that she had something. She must have been some kind of witch because they needed a green witch to do the road. Well, clearly not, because the road doesn't exist. So she was killed literally for no reason. And I didn't realize how angry I was about that until just now.
It's just frustrating as hell. So Billy's like appalled. And so he goes to the opening for the road and he's going to close it.
He did try to banish Agatha.
Yeah.
But that didn't work because like he feels for her because she says I cannot face Nikki. And it's like, okay, so we're supposed to feel for you again? Like,
I guess
it's
so.
all back and forth. I don't know. She's got no emotion. She's dead. And now she wants to help Billy find Tommy. Like, okay, whatever. I did like the memorial because he, in the stone of the door where the door was, there was names written down, you know, like for Lilia and Alice and Sharon.
Yeah.
And I really liked that, but I do blame Billy partly.
Yeah.
Because before he even knew that, you know, when they did their trial in the episode 7, before he even knew anything, like he thought that they were both he thought Jen and Lilia were dead.
Yep.
So if they really were dead, would he feel the same? I don't know.
I don't know much about any of it. I also thought Agatha would probably be more pissed off about being a ghost than she is, because she's a ghost. She can't do anything.
Does that mean she gets to see Rio more now?
I don't know. Rio says in one of those episodes that she hates ghosts, so I guess not. I don't know.
I guess that's fitting that her love of her life is a ghost now.
And then again, we're supposed to like Agatha again because so Billy says that he thinks Nikki would forgive Agatha. And Agatha's like, when you say things like that, that's when you remind me of him. So again, we're supposed to like her. Again.
I do like her. I just don't like this is my thing. If you give me an evil character, and if you want to give him give that person character development like they did with Sauron, that's a great example. Sauron is evil. I know he's evil, but they gave him a story arc that was interesting. Even though we know he's probably not going to have any human life, it's still fine because he did have an arc, and I'll forever miss that part. With Agatha, she doesn't have an arc. It's like she's good and evil. That's it. That's everything. And it's like up and down. So what is she? Just make her evil. If you want her to be evil, we'll still like her.
Yeah. Don't give her half an arc and then take it away, half an arc and take it away. Like, it's like the frustration you feel if you watch Game of Thrones and Jaime Lannister finally realizes, you know, what the hell is going on. And then 2 minutes later, he's like, you know what, the hell with the small folk. I'm going back to Cersei. Like, come on.
Yep. That pissed us off royally. So
it's like that, but it happens like 20 times. And it irritated the shit out of me. I'll be honest with you. I'm giving the last episode a damn 6 out of 10 because what? And the only reason I'm giving it 6 out of 10 is because of the acting.
Yeah. I'm only getting it 6 out of 10 as well.
And for Andrea to do 6 out of 10, y'all have to understand that's like somebody else giving it a 2.
No, I'm changing it to a 5.5 because I'm so angry about Mrs. Davis and I'm so angry about Agatha because I really like her. I mean, I'll still like her. I still do. This doesn't make me hate her. I just don't understand the writing, you know, like you can't expect me to feel bad for somebody that murders witches and then like throw in little pieces that Like, she doesn't care about them. She doesn't even care about Billy, yet she's going to go and help him? Like, okay.
Like, she says she's going to go help him find Tommy, and then it ends. But, like, okay. So, but when you find Tommy, are you just going to, like, you know, try to take his power because you're evil? You suck, but then we love you. But then you're evil and you kill a lot. What? Huh? It flipped too much, Andrea. It flipped too much.
It did.
And I don't understand why. I think part of the reason is they didn't mind all these gaps being in there because they did not think this show would do as well as it did. And this show did better than Loki.
Yeah.
WandaVision's the only series that's done better than this one. And I think that's because, you know, it went on longer. You know, I think that's why. Agatha did really well. And I think it's like Swiss cheese. There's so many holes. And I think that's because they just thought it would do okay. And it would bridge the gap between WandaVision and Vision Quest. They kept saying season 2 of WandaVision is Agatha and season 3 is Vision Quest. Well, guess what? I'll be honest with you. I would much rather find out about Rio and Agatha than see white Vision with no emotion. I don't care.
Well, I don't think he's interesting unless he's got Wanda with him. So it's just not. I'll have to watch it if Billy and Agatha are in it because, of course.
I already told you what I think. I think they're damn sure going to bring back Wanda. And I think they're going to have to, they're probably doing rewrites right now because they know people want to know more about the witches. I'm sorry. I think Paul Bettany is incredibly talented, but how are you going to give me a show with Vision with no emotion without Wanda? And then Agatha is going to show up as a ghost and they're going to look for Tommy. And that's all you got. I don't know. I don't know if they know, to be honest with you. So I don't know. There's a lot of fan theories because there's so many gaps. And I'll tell you, I think some of the fan theories are more creative than the writing in the last couple episodes. But doesn't mean that I don't still ship Agatha and Rio, because I do. But I just don't understand.
And I was extremely disappointed in Agatha and Billy's relationship towards the end. It just...
We're about to get into something completely different because the next thing we're going to talk about is Dune.
Yay!
Yep, it's a lot. It's a huge, vast world. But Dune Prophecy is coming out soon. And it looks really good. The trailer looks fantastic. And they've got Travis Fimmel, which is, I just call him Ragnar. That's just what I do. He's going to be in it, and he's an incredible actor, and I think we're really going to enjoy it. We appreciate you very much. Thank you for listening to us. I mean, we've gone through House of the Dragon, Rings of Power, and Agatha, and we're about to step into Dune. It's been crazy. We love doing this. We're so proud that we have a 5-star rated podcast, and if you haven't rated us, please go do that because it really does help, and we appreciate it. So,
thank you.
Yes, thank you. And the next time we talk to you, we'll be talking to you about Arrakis and sand and spice and all that stuff. All right. We'll see you next time. Bye, guys.
Bye.
As always, it's Amanda here to say thank you to all of our listeners and to ask that if you like this week's episode, leave us an honest rating. And if you'd like to continue the discussion, please feel free to comment on our post over at our Girls Nerd Out podcast account on Instagram. If you're interested in buying any of our merch to support the podcast and so that we can continue to release weekly episodes, then check it out over at girlsnerdoutpodcast.com. Our podcast logo was designed by Chairman Bilal over on Fiverr. Our podcast merch was put together by me, myself, and I at Southern Mother of Dragons on all social media. If you're interested in my personal merch, check it out at southernmotherofdragons.com. And the designs for that merch were put together by Ryuchi Studios on Etsy after an in-depth back and forth discussion with me to find the perfect merch for me and my loyal supporters. The music playing while I tell you about all the ways you can support us and the production of the podcast is Kawaii Girl by Pumpkin Pie. Thanks for listening.
Hey, this is Andrea.
And this is Amanda. And you just listened to
Girls Nerd Out.